The Fender Vibrolux was an amp, Blackface version with the 2x10, started in 1965-ish. People loved it. It was a 2.6L6 tube amp, had more headroom than a deluxe reverb, but it also got more saturated way before like a Fender Super. So it was a great amp. It's too expensive, but York Audio came out with this Vibrolux IR that I love, and I think we can build that sound for much less. What are we going to use today? I'll tell you. We're going to use a revival drive on the valve side because it had a valve rectifier. We're going to use the round channel of the Iridium. We're going to go into a Flint spring reverb and the piece de resistance, the Vibrolux IR from York Audio. Sounds good. Maybe roll off. There. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you use a 4x12 IR, sometimes it doesn't have that punch that you would expect. A 2x10 or a 2x12 sometimes does it better, which is why it's always good if you're using IRs to have some 2x10s or 2x12s. I think you'll be surprised. Now, we don't have anything to compare it to. I don't have a Vibrolux to compare it to, but this is a very different sound than my deluxe sound. Like I have a 1x12 IR, that's a deluxe sound, and then I have the twin, the 2x12, but this sounds very different. It sounds beautiful. Let's see how this IR handles drive. Does it pass the test? Sure. I've never played a Vibrolux. They made a Brownface Vibrolux that was a 1x10. And then they made a 2x10 Brownface that had the same circuit, but it was called a Fender Super. So what we can do is turn on the Revival Trem, which is based on the Brownface circuit, put that into the Iridium, and that into the Flint, and that into the IR, and it sounds like this. Yes, dude. Now, I've never played a Fender Super. I don't even know if I could find one on Reverb. Who knows? For less than half the price of a used Fender Vibrolux, you can get a Fender Super sound, a Fender Vibrolux sound, the Blackface, all sorts of sounds using that IR. And I'm only using one of the mixes. There's so many good mixes here. Let's try another. This is mix 2. This is a 57 and a 121. drive up a bit. Good Lord, how's that sound? So there's a time and a place for IRs, and the time and place is now. But you don't need a whole locker full of microphones, right? You don't need wires and stands and phasing and checking the audio signals. It's there, it's done. Now go write or go play. Do you guys prefer a vintage amp over something like this kind of setup? I always prefer this. I don't have to lug it around. If I'm playing a live show, no one's gonna know the difference between a Vibrolux, a Vibraverb, a Super Reverb. They're just going to be like, wow, that amp's too loud, turn it down. That's like 90% of the time, that's what they'll say to you. And this could be a great live setup, right? For those of you who use a Strymon or you're using the UA, Dream 65 or whatever it is, this IR, it's got that tone. I mean, something about York Audio, man, they know how to make great IRs. I prefer the Revival Trem over the Revival Drive, so the Brownface versus the Blackface on this kind of IR. And I actually made 2 different videos about the Revival Trem, here and here. So if you want to hear more of that stuff, check it out.